All things have consciousness, so all things hold intelligence. This park is becoming a sacred space. Look at the people who are here. They are people who need a place to be held sacredly. And this park can hold the vibration long after we leave because it has consciousness. If it gets the intent and purpose that it is a sacred space that heals all living things, people that come here will be healed. It will be a conduit to God that will take their entity energy from them. That's what we mean when we say a sacred space versus just a space that feels good. We're talking about a space where we've got so much of the vibration of God through that it is dominant over all the negative activity of humankind. And the park now holds a vibration that it does what we do, which is it asks God to heal all things that come into it, right? The trees can do that, the buildings can do that, the sidewalks can do that, the asphalt, everything can do that. Hot fire hydrant. Think of how many little dogs will get healed. Fire hydrant. Heal all things and transform all things into love, and keep asking that, and just pay attention to what changes in you in relation to that. Also, please pay attention to where you get a sense that you might be getting a message from God. So if God's messages are always about love, so the message may be something about, you might get a vision of how things are changing, or you might get a sense of somewhere else we need to walk, or that kind of thing. So I want you to really be concentrating on asking God to heal all things and listening for God, right? Versus thoughts or our conversations. About is it getting bigger? Is it getting thicker? Sometimes I get images of big God arms just wrapping the whole thing in the earth and everything. And they're coming from God. They're not my images. I'm always concentrating on asking God to flow through, and I'm paying attention to what God is doing. I'm not directing the energy or forming a decision about something. So in other words, I'm not sitting here thinking, I think that needs more healing than that because it looks worse or whatever. I'm not thinking that. I'm not saying, let's send the energy there. I'm just asking to be bigger and bigger from God. And it's less about the messages and more about concentrating on that. But as you concentrate on that, you find yourself feeling and opening up to hearing and seeing more. So the foundation of healing is to concentrate on that connection to God first and foremost, feeling that, asking to be present in that, and any messages that come after that are like as abilities develop, right? As that connection develops, you begin to be able to take part in that relationship more. So it's understanding how our abilities and our emotions are a tool of that, or how they can work within that relationship. When I'm working on being a vessel of God's healing, I would get messages from God about what was happening, and that they're to help me to wake up to what's possible, right? So the imagery that I got was the fact that trees breathe out what we breathe in, trees breathe out what other life breathes in. So God said, we'll fill the trees up with love, and then what will happen is they'll take in what people are breathing out that might be unpleasant, right? And give it to me, and they'll breathe out love. So everywhere we go, that's the vibe that happens because of their role in the give and receive of love, because the exchange of air is the give and receive of life that we have with the plants and vegetation, not just trees, the grass and everything, the lichen, all that kind of stuff. That's the exchange that they have with us. They breathe out what we breathe in. And so every time we go to where there's trees, that's the imagery that God shows me, as we get the trees doing that. Because now they are whisking bad energy off of people, breathing it off to God, right? Breathing out love, breathing out God's love. And that's what they're doing. So it's always fun to work in a place till you can really feel that the trees get it. And it's usually very quick. Because, there's isolated points of trauma, like what happened to this one, right? But for the most part, most times when people go places, they love the trees, right? They notice the trees, they sit into the trees. The trees hold that love vibration that we all respond to because they are a part of the exchange of love and life. Whether we're consciously aware of that or not, people do respond to that, right? It's hard to be upset in a place where there's lots of trees. It just is. And they're old. Trees are very old. Lichens even older. This is a really old tree.
Gorgeous.
Really old. Like, I mean, trees are old, but this one's really old. It has a real strong sense of self and purpose. So I mean, it's not a fluke that it's in the middle of a place that really needs a lot of strong energy, right? So one of the reasons why we walk around in spaces and we bring through God everywhere like this is because we know that the less complex items of creation pick up the vibrational change faster, right? So the trees, the air, the stone, the leaves, the grass, the ground, the metal fence, all of those things are less complex than human beings, less complex than mammals, and so on. And so they pick up the vibe much faster and they hold it much faster. And because they hold the vibe and they're bringing through and they're being a part of asking God to come through to heal all things, then the things that come to them that are more complex, that take longer to heal, are actually sitting in their office space in that energy. And so they'll heal with time. So wherever we do this, it's about creating the largest, fastest opening for the new consciousness to happen, right? We have these whole part of creation that just simply responds to the vibration of truth. It doesn't really have a complex mind that resists it or questions it or gets mired up in belief systems and so on. So the fact that human beings are the most complex part of creation means that they can create the most complex solutions, the most complex loving things, but they can also create or invent the most complex problems. As everything shifts, of course, we're going to be able to solve those complex problems. Human beings are going to be able to do that. But right now it's about bringing through that vibe as much as we can into areas that hold it and don't resist it and just uptake it and get the energy immediately. That's the significance of what we're doing when we walk. When we bring energy forward into spaces and other parts of creation that are less complex.
Christine, what's the purpose of existence?
Love. The purpose of existence is to love with God.
Was that a trick question?
It was. I knew.
To love and to be loved.
To love and to be loved is the purpose of existence.